Hi everybody, today's going to be good. It's going to be about half an hour that we're together, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that I look after your physical health as much as your mental health. So in this day and age, I don't know whether you know that sitting is the new smoking, so I hope at your desks or whatever you do actually stand up and have a bit of a stretch. But during the course of this half hour, I don't mind if you do just get up and just have a stretch, because you know sometimes you can feel like you're sitting down too much, and what a lot of people do these days is actually just sort of stand. So totally relaxed today. It's going to be very informal, very relaxed. Just make sure that you're not uncomfortable is the most important thing. But we're going to talk about several things. We're going to talk about us, and we're going to talk about our colleagues, and we're going to talk our family as well, and it's all based around mental health. But what I'd like to do, just really to sort of respect Are You OK Day, which is on Thursday, is just introduce what Are You OK Day is all about. Now, you all celebrate it, I think, for the last 2 or 3 years, has it been? And, you know, and everybody knows that it started off because it was suicide prevention. So I used to operate the state government suicide prevention strategy, and we used to go throughout Western Australia, and we would talk to vulnerable people, and that operated for 6 years. And in a snapshot of all of that, the reason that when we spoke to people who had survived an attempt, or we spoke to bereaved families, the one thing that those who did survive an attempt of suicide say, beyond the fact that they're really glad that they survived, the burning question I ask them is, why did you do it? What was happening in your head at that time? As this is just a very short 2 minutes on it to just give you the best of my knowledge. And there were 2 things that they always said that they had run out of. One was hope, and the other one was help as well. So I'm here today to tell you that there's lots of help available, and lots of those people who have survived have actually realised that there is help there now. And the other thing is too, that somehow miraculously we or they or their family or themselves have actually given them hope again. And lots of us rely on hope, don't we, to get us through situations. So I thought I would just give you the benefit of all of those years that we did. And the other thing when they talk about the help is that they all say that they wish they'd spoken to people a lot sooner than blooming later, when it was just all catastrophizing and everything else. So today we're going to set off and we're going to do a little exercise so we actually understand even the precursors to suicidal ideation are depression and anxiety and stress in general. And that's where we're going to set through the lens of those 3 things today on our talk. So what I want to do is I just want to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Now, according to Beyond Blue, 1 in 5 of us Australians, and don't go around the room going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are already dealing with a mental health issue, okay? Because it doesn't work like that, because they all could be on one table or none could be here as well. But if 1 in 5 of us is dealing with a mental health issue, hands up anybody who knows somebody else who's not in this room right now, outside of this room, okay, who they know is dealing with a mental health issue. Look at the stats, speak for themselves then, don't they? So it's out there, it's more prevalent than we think, and that's why we're going to do what we're doing today. The other thing I want to do as well is, I want to ask you really, whoever feels that like they're really constantly head down, bum up the whole time, right? Busy, 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 and that's just the weekends. Never mind the bit in the, you know, the work-wise and everything else. But then when you're having those busy, busy, busy times, who's lucky enough here to have someone at home who, after a really crap day, and I know you don't have those here, but just imagine, right? After a really, really crap day, you've got someone that you can go home to, and they open up the door and they say, hello, darling, come on in. They've got a glass of wine, cup of tea, cup of coffee, glass of water, whatever. Come in, sit down, tell me about your crap day, and I am going to and listen for 1 hour. Who's got that? For 1 hour. Take their addresses, okay? We're going to come round to yours. So the rest of you, I'm going to take bids of 30 minutes. Who's got that where somebody would just say nothing for 30 minutes? Oh, there's a bit of a gap here. Okay, the rest of you, who's got a cat or a dog? Thank goodness, I could go home. It's all okay now. So what we do is, guess what you get when you come to EAP? You actually get someone who's going to sit there in front of you, and guess what? They're going to listen for 1 whole hour about you. because it's your story. So these are some of the good reasons why you need to come to EAP. But what we're going to do is we're going to see if we know the early warning signs. We're going to see whether we are typical peeps, that we're in that head down, bum up, and we just normalise all the warning signs that we should be listening to and just put it down to, oh, that's just me, or that's just work, or that's just life, or whatever. So everyone's got a brochure on their desk, or should have. And if you can team up with the person next to you, and threes if it's more than two, open up your brochures and have a look on the right-hand page, left-hand column. And if that hasn't confused you already, we're doing okay. It's the right-hand page on the left-hand column, okay? Now, eyes up here before I tell you what's happening. What we're looking as early warning signs are shifts in behaviours. So something that is not normally you, and for longer than 3 weeks. If you actually have a shift and a change of behaviour for longer than 3 weeks, something's going on up here and in here as well. So one of them on there, for instance, is running late. Well, I was 2 weeks late being born, and as old as I am, I still haven't caught up. I don't know how I got here on time today, but I did, okay? So that wouldn't be anything different for me, but if I was always on time, and suddenly for longer than how many weeks? 3, okay, that I suddenly am, is a clear indicator. Now, when you look through all of these, we've all experienced them from time to time, but it's that longer than 3 weeks, something's going on. So in your teams, in your pairs, or in your threes, discuss amongst yourselves on that list and ask yourself 2 questions. First of all, what do we think is the most obvious one that we should be listening to? Should be. But equally, which is one that we probably ignore the most? And just head down, bum up, and carry on. So what's the most obvious, and which is the one that we probably ignore the most? Okay, 30 seconds, go. All right, so what we'll do is let's split the room, okay, and I know that you all haven't had a chance to confer with each other, and you haven't had a chance to confer, but anybody in this group, what did you come up with which you think, anyone at all, which is an obvious sign, but equally one that we probably ignore the most, and then you can cross it off your list when they say it. What does anybody in this group say?
I don't know, it probably maybe affects females more, but the feeling emotional.
Yeah, that's
kind of brushed off.
Yeah, so peeps, and let's ask the men as well, have we ever felt emotional at some stage? Yes, everyone said yes, even the men, which is great. And you're right, but this is over-emotional, and this is a really, really good one to have. And I remember many, many years ago when I didn't know that I was suffering from depression, and I was heads down, bum up, and I wasn't travelling very, very well. And it was the doctor who said to me, Clive, are you okay? And I over-emoted. Guess what happened to me? I started crying because I'd been asked that question in a world of other people that just thought I was happy-go-lucky, whatever, and everything else. And for me, it was situational depression. Just gone through a divorce, job wasn't going so well, blah, blah, blah. Situational things for me, and there are very many other reasons. But for me, I was utterly surprised by it. Utterly surprised that there I was blooming crying in the doctor's room, all because he'd bothered to ask me. So that was a clear indication to him and to me that actually I wasn't travelling very, very well. So that's a very, very good one. Men cry in different ways to women. Women can cry, but men can cry really deeply, and sometimes it's years of stuff that are coming out in the first time they do cry. But men do cry. There's marvellous books on it that Boys Don't Cry, for instance, is a good book too. Well done, you guys, okay? So that's a good one. Scrub it off, as I say. You got enough there to choose? The rest, what would you come up with?
Getting tired of sick of it.
Ah, what's that all about? Okay, so how many weeks does it have to last before you start to worry about that? 3, I know. Because otherwise, peeps, what we do is we normalise it. We just go, oh, I've been sick now for 4 months, that's just me. The kids give you everything, don't they, from school, you know, including lice. When I came to this country, I'd never, what, lice? Oh my God. But anyway, I love all my grandchildren, everyone. But that's it. If you are sick and you're run down, peeps, something's happening, okay? It's draining your energies. You're not travelling really, really well. So those are 2 really, really good ones. And I just want you to take the brochure away and have a look at those other ones as well. So that exercise, we finished. It's not just about us knowing so that we can be aware, so we speak to people sooner than later. But do you reckon we can also actually recognise these in our colleagues? Yeah, and just give them a brochure and just say, hey, you know, whatever. And so on your desk, you can put those brochures away now. Given is that there's lots of help. We just need to equip ourselves to know where to seek that help. And I'm pleased to say that all the people that we worked with who did survive the attempts on suicide are actually doing really, really well. And one football team up in Broome that's aligned with the Saints up there decided to actually get a football team together, mainly young Aboriginal men, and they call themselves Alive and Kicking. And they're doing well. They go around the world doing suicide prevention for the whole world. So that's good. All right, now I can introduce you to my clicker today because the clicker isn't working. So can I introduce, please, Sarah, as the clicker? Let's go. So Access Wellbeing Services, okay? Next one. Thanks a lot. Really, the thing to know is that we're all very professional there, and I don't know whether any of you actually travel to conferences over Easter at all, but we've got 120 branches throughout Australia. That includes regional WA, regional Australia. Any of you get to conferences at all? Okay. Anybody would like to? I'll just give this to Sarah. No. Okay. All right. Next one. Thanks, Sarah. So we're throughout, and here we are based in Perth, Cannington. Now, Esperance made me put that up, right, and Kalgoorlie, because they tell me when I go up there that they are a city and they are metropolitan. Would you agree? So, in honour of them, that's up there. Gosnells, Joondalup, Kalgoorlie, brand new one out of Midland, and Mirrabooka is soon to open. So there's a lot of branches there that are local, as well as regionally as well. This one, there's 3 things on here, peeps, that I'd really like you to take away today. It's free. Come and see us, right? And normally, people seeking help for psychological help is usually a barrier because it costs $160 an hour. So most people actually prefer to buy Lotto or like go and spend it on something else, whatever, and they put their health, mental health last. But the good news is, peeps, that the company pays for it. So that $160 an hour is all paid for by the company, okay? The other thing's too, it's voluntary, so you can take it or leave it, okay? And it's entirely up to you. No one's going to force you to do it. But do you know what the best thing about this is? Shh. It's totally confidential. Not a word of what you ever say to us ever gets repeated to management at all. And what we do too is, thanks very much, what we also do too is that when you actually phone us, we need to know your name, we need to know everything about you, but we never pass that on. We convert you to a case ID number. So even if all the numbers of all the people that have ever been fluttered down onto a desk, it would only be case ID numbers. No one's ever going to know. And the reason why we do this is because whose story is it? It's your stories. It's your life. It's taken all of this time, no matter how old you are, to evolve to the story that you tell us. So it belongs to you. And we even go so far to protect your confidentiality that if, for instance, Mary calls up and says to us, this is Mary Bloggs, could I please come and have an appointment tomorrow at 3 o'clock? I work, phones up, says, oh, can I have that same slot? Can I have 3 o'clock tomorrow? Our system says no. We never have 2 people from the same company in the same waiting room at all. Nor half an hour before, nor half an hour afterwards. So does that really help you know that we really utterly protect your confidentiality? There are 2 exceptions to it, and that applies to all of us here. So if anybody does tell you that they have got a plan to kill themselves on such and such a date with a method, and it's clearly a plan, confidentiality goes out the window, but what comes instead? Their safety. Their safety is paramount. So as citizens, Australian citizens, that applies to you. And equally, if someone says that they're going to kill someone, which is a crime, and they have a plan and they tell you about it in great detail and that they're committed to that plan, then confidentiality equally goes out. But don't worry, because we know the difference, right, between when you come in and talk to us and say, oh, I could kill my mother-in-law. We know the difference between a plan and just expressing your frustration, okay, peeps? So, any questions around confidentiality at all? Yes?
What if some of the work we do is quite high risk? So
yes.
What if you think that person's a risk doing it to other people?
Yeah, well...
Like in the job that they're doing?
Yeah, so if it is, so it's you're not going to kill someone, but it's a high risk to somebody's safety, then confidentiality can go out the window as well. And our counsellors are fully trained. Like I say, jokingly, they know the difference between I want to kill my mother-in-law and a real plan and intent. Yeah. crime is all based around what intent is. And if the intent is clear, then we must stop it. Yeah. Cool. So come and speak to us. It's okay. No one's going to know. All right. Cool. Next one. Thanks. So this is a mental health map of us lot, okay, put out by Beyond Blue. But I've just got one question here. Do we think that stigma around mental health because of the lights of Beyond Blue is less now than it was like 5 or 10 years ago? Yeah, okay, nods all around. So thank goodness people are talking now about mental health. Next one, thanks, Sarah. Which means that if you have family challenges as well, and your family needs longer term help than just EAP, we can help by what we call, for instance, especially in WA, substance misuse, teenagers, young adolescents, for instance. Parents are worried about these. So we have some people that are receiving this sort of support for years and what have you. But any of these, relationship issues, as if there's any issues with that, parenting issues, etc. So if you're dealing with something but it's not on the list, that's just good housekeeping. So don't worry, whatever it is, we can help you. Yep. But don't wait till there's anything going wrong. What about actually coming to speak to us about personal development? Because we can help you with that, and we can also help you enhance any skills that you have here. How much personal development do you guys do here a year? Shall I get my notepad out again then? Who wants personal development? So what we do, for instance, when you get to my age and you've still got your parents alive and there's grandchildren, whatever, I get torn on weekends especially, and during the week, and you know, whatever, as the school run back up, with when's there going to be time for Clive? And if you're in that situation, or you're a new parent and you're struggling to identify self-care needs, we can help you with that too. But I love this next one. Reconnect with your personal strengths and values. Do you know what, peeps? I'm going to look you all in the eye here. You guys have got the most amazing strengths. You guys have got the most amazing strengths and values. And they're all unique. And I'm going to give you a website now for you to actually write down, and you can go online and it's a free 10-minute to identify what your strengths are out of the 16 strengths. So it's www. If anyone's got a pen, and if not, pass it round to the next. VIA character. VIA stands for Values in Action, character.org. It's an American one. If you go on there, you'll see what your strengths are. It's absolutely brilliant. So there's a freebie for you. But I would be very proud to know what your strengths are. And we often use this when people have got low self-esteem. So we actually go through it, and then afterwards they go skipping out, going, oh, I'm marvellous in this area or that area. But we can help you with develop or enhance any skills. The one I'm going to land on is mindfulness. Hands up here, who's ever done mindfulness? Okay, that means the rest of you are going, what is mindfulness, okay? Well, this is what mindfulness looks like, okay? When you're asleep at night time, okay, this is my version of it, 3 o'clock, oh, I can't believe it, I can't believe she said that to me. You wait till, and then I bet she went and told Mandy as well. Oh, you wait till, back to work, okay. Okay, then about 10 minutes before your alarm goes off, oh no, I was supposed to get that report in. Well, what am I going to put in it? Well, I better put headings in it like that, and actually now you're late for work. And this is called mind chatter. So mindfulness stops mind chatter at night time, and it just teaches you breathing exercises and to actually say to yourself, look, this is a nice warm place to be, it's comfortable, I've got my head on the pillow here, you know, it's dark, I should be going, and you're off to sleep before you know where you are, is one example to stop mind chatter. But let me ask you this question. How many of you ever laid awake at night time, ever, hands up, worried about the future? Keep those up, because who's laid awake worried about things they've said in the past? And the past as well. Take up mindfulness, everyone, and you'll get a good night's sleep. Next one, thanks, Sarah. Now, ignore the subliminal clue, right? Have a look at the list here and tell me, for personal reasons, what do you think is the number one reason? I'll give you a bit of a clue, but ignore it. What do you think is the number one reason that people call us when they're worried about themselves personally? Oh, yes, stress. Well done. Or any type of stress management. And that's because people haven't put their finger on why they need to come. They haven't worked out that they're about to have a divorce or separation or something. They're just feeling stressed. So, peeps, it's okay for you to phone us and just go, without knowing the real reason, I'm just feeling stressed, I need to come speak to someone. Do we all feel stressed? Sometimes? Yeah, okay. But especially if we're feeling stressed for longer than 3 weeks, okay? Who are you going to call? Yeah, Access Wellbeing, not Ghostbusters, right? Is exactly right. And then, of course, there's a list of some of the other reasons that people do. Next one, thanks. Now, workplace, what you've all been waiting for. If job satisfaction is the goal, and all of these are reasons why people do call us, but what do you think is the number one reason? Go on, be bold. Yeah, stress again, okay? So what happens? So personal is stress, workplace is stress. So what it means is you don't have to know what we call causal factors, peeps. We will help you identify all the causal factors. So you just come and plonk yourself in our seat, right? And we will help you. And then we'll replace the causal factors and the triggers by protective factors. So it's absolutely fine. But all of these are as well very, very valid. Of course, with this one, if ever you see any bullying, you must report it, okay, because it won't be tolerated. If you're feeling that you're being bullied, go and speak to HR, because they'll give you a list of what is bullying and what isn't bullying, so at least whatever. And the only way to resolve it is actually to speak to the two parties. Now, in our experience, bullying, right, you remember we talked about the mind chatter at night time? It gets really, really manifest at night time when you're just focusing on it. I can't believe she said that and the way she said it and then in front of who she said it. And you can add on all of these harmful things. But actually, it all comes down to quite often miscommunication, misunderstanding, not being recognised or respected and things like that. So we do a lot of facilitation between two very entrenched people when actually all they wanted was for Bill to say, you know, in a different way or whatever. So what we think about at night time and entrench it can be different to what we are experiencing. But either way, make sure that you do speak to HR about it, and the same with any of these others as well. So next one, thanks, sir. Can I attend in work time? Okay, well, it needs to be agreed with your employer. Now, why would we say this if it's totally confidential? Well, it was the Beyond Blue one. You know how the stigma's really, really low? So if you felt like you needed to get away today at 3 o'clock and you needed to tell someone, look, I just need an hour off, it would be the same as being called to the school. Little Jennifer's, you know, cut her knee, can you come and collect her? Or I've got to go to the doctor. So you don't need to tell the manager why you might want to go to EAP, but in this day and age, you know, people are open to it. So a bit of negotiation if you have to. It's usually for the first appointment if something's really been bugging you, because thereafter we've got after hours and whatever. All right, next one, thanks. Can I bring a family member? Why would you bring a family member? Well, that's it. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay, but there's another reason as well. So there's two reasons, and that's number one. Go on, what's the second one?
They can listen to the other person that sits and enjoys.
Yes, they can. So that's one in the middle, but there's another one. Go on, be bold. What is it? Think about it. Living with part. Oh my God, I know. Well done, you. Okay, yes, indeed. And so family members can come and have access, but they must be people that are living with you and affect you on a daily basis, okay? Not Auntie Jean that flies in from, you know, Queensland and she had a bumpy ride and the air hostess didn't say hello to her and she can't. It's only people that live with you, your children, your partners and what have you. Because A, they can be 50% of your problem. And we all know it, don't we, if you've ever fallen out with somebody, you know, whatever. But they can be 100% of your solution. So you can either come together or you can arrange for them to come so that they can get help. And this is a really good thing to have. Thanks, sir. So all of our counsellors are all fully qualified, all registered, but one thing that's not up there, have a guess, how many years do you think one has to have in this sector experience before you can even apply for a job with us? Don't go too overboard, but how many years do you think? 10. Oh, it's too many. 5. But that's good, isn't it? So what does that mean to you? Yeah, well looked after. Okay, nothing new under the sun. We've got experience with a wide range of any issues. So this is how you contact us, telephone number, email address and website, and you've got the brochures, but we've gone modern, everyone. Next one, thanks. We've got an app, right? And if for no other reason, download this app because this little symbol here is a phone, and if you haven't got any of the flyers or the cards, whatever, just push it and the receptionist will answer. It's also got meditation on here. It's got a mood checker. Do you remember in the olden days we used to keep diaries secret? Do you remember about what made us happy and what made us sad, whatever? And we don't do that anymore. And reflection looking at what makes us happy or whatever, is actually part of resilience. And so having a mood checker, what's made you happy on a daily basis, is good. It's got tons of podcasts, people like us saying how they overcame, what have you. And we're going to look at a video in just a second of an athlete who overcame and used the Resilience app to do it. So a little bit about it so that you remember. We've won an award. It won the Sydney Design Award. We're going to look at a Today Tonight segment in just a second. We wrote the brief. We wanted the brief to be to build anyone's resilience, which means you can use it free, your family members can use it free, and even friends. We want resilience built up. So we put the brief out to a very young, up-and-coming developer, and they came back with this. I went, what's that? They go, that's resilience, man. I said, that's resilience. What's this about? And he goes, oh man, it's hip, it's hop. I said, I'm not hap. That is not resilience. But it won the award, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I was wrong and they were right, okay? And many people use that. So next one, thanks very much. Next one after this. So here we go, Access Wellbeing Services. Things like the app are what we're continual updating for your health and well-being, and from time to time you'll see us out doing some training as well. And the last one is just a big thank you for your time and listening, but we're now just going to have a look at the 3-minute Today Tonight segment. We're going to finish on that one.
Well, elite athletes are always looking for an extra edge over their rivals, and Mark Reddings, they're not always searching for a physical advantage.
Winning the mental battle moniker, that's become critical in sport, and a new device has been created to help competitors monitor their mood levels. WA Paralympian Brant Garvey is always searching for ways to improve, and he's convinced this app has already made a significant difference.
For me, resilience would have to be one of the things that I truly believe is the key to being successful.
The app is very similar to a fitness app, but the different features on there are more fitting for your mind.
What we're learning is the more and more the relationship between physical fitness and mental fitness.
For Brant Garvey, sporting success is twofold.
I obviously have to train physically to make sure that I'm at the top of my game, and it's the same with the psychology.
A 2016 Paralympian who competed as a para-triathlete, Brant has embraced a new app called Resilience.
It kind of came at a time of necessity where I had so much on my plate and getting quite overwhelmed by trying to fit everything in. The mindfulness and the meditation was a part that really struck with me.
It's not just tailor-made for elite athletes.
A lot of the achievements is also about their mental fitness, so what we've tried to do is translate that into everyday Australians and into the workplace.
The numbers illustrate a crisis in workplaces across the nation, with 1 in 5 employees affected by psychological issues. Nationally, 9 million working days are lost annually due to poor mental health, and research shows many people are managing stress in destructive ways.
The idea for the app came about in relation to how could we prevent mental health problems.
Podcasts, meditations, heart rate monitoring, and managing your mood, as well as doing resilience exercises.
While not all of the activities will suit everyone's lifestyle,
I think it's just a great opportunity for individuals in West Australia who want to maintain and monitor their mental health and really take charge.
You also get to see how you've progressed or, or the opposite, gone backwards in your moods.
For this app, there's more to come, as technology tells us more about ourselves than we ever thought possible.
Things like cognitive behaviour therapy is one example where we're hoping to extend the app to. Coaching is another area we would like to see.
A teaching tool mindful of our well-being.
That daily check-in, and then also taking that time in the morning to have a big impact on the rest of my day, which means that I'm mind the pun, on the right foot to take on the rest of the day.
And Brant is in full training ahead of the World Championships, which take place on the Gold Coast later this year.
Thanks guys, have a good day. Take care, see you.